You've been trying to get pregnant for over a year. It's not happening. You're frustrated, confused, scared that something could be wrong that nobody's catching. You don't know what to do. I get it. You've tried to change your diet. You've taken all the supplements. You're on a prenatal. You've gone to the doctor. And what else could you possibly do more of that you haven't done? Now your doctor is asking you whether you want to try fertility drugs to stimulate ovulation and, egg follicles. And deep down in your heart, when you hear that and in your gut, you're tense, you're freaking out because that's not the path you envision. You don't want to take this synthetic junk and these toxins in your body, and nobody does. But is this the path that is the only option for you? And so you're pondering it, and you may even have that prescription filled. You may even have these drugs sitting in your refrigerator, and every time you open it to get something to eat, that box is sitting looking right back at you. So what do? You don't know what else to do, what you could possibly do, because it's just not happening. So you just take a breath and breathe. Because today I'm going to talk to you about the 3 reasons why fertility hormones are not your only option to get pregnant. First and foremost, you can't skip the basics, regardless of what you are doing, what you're coming in with, what you've been diagnosed with. We all have to start at the basics, period. And that is your period. Are you regular? Are you having normal, non-disruptive periods? Have you always had crappy periods? Have you always had problems? Do you have endometriosis? Do you have fibroids? Do you have heavy periods? Where are you on this spectrum? No amount of Clomid or FSH, LH, gonadotropins, or pills can help you regulate your period. And this is where you need to start, because your period and being regular lets you know when you're ovulating, and ovulating is crucial because when you ovulate, there's an egg and then there's a baby, possibly. So you have to know what your period is telling you, because there's so many clues and treasures, fertility treasures in your period. The consistency, the color, it can tell us so much about your hormone levels, your toxin levels, your inflammation levels, all in the period. And I know most doctors, conventional doctors aren't trained in doing this, but that's something that we do as alternative practitioners, first and foremost, when you need to boost your fertility. Got to get your period right. And that you can do naturally every single month. And so if you need help with that, I have something at the end of this video so that you can get started. You're just going to go ahead and write checklist down below so that I can get that information to you. Now, the second way that you don't need to use fertility drugs to get pregnant is because no amount of fertility medication is not the only way to stimulate ovulation and egg follicles. And so if you are not ovulating, unfortunately, there will be no baby ever, because 30% of infertility rates are because women are not ovulating. And you don't really need to have a diagnosed condition like PCOS, where most women don't ovulate with that, or endometriosis. There are other women who don't have these conditions and they don't even ovulate. And honestly, most adult women don't even know what ovulation is. Honestly, and that's no joke, because a lot of women really ignore our cycles and ovulation until we want to get pregnant. And that's because we're busy. We just go through the motions every single month. And then these terms become appropriate when we want to start having a baby. So to ovulate, you don't need hyperstimulation medication like FSH, LH, or Clomid to do this. If you're dealing with PCOS or endo and you know you haven't ovulated in 10 or 15 or a couple years, these are issues that you have to address. We have to address the inflammation and underlying causes of your condition so that you can ovulate naturally, which is totally possible. And if you don't have these conditions and you don't know if you're ovulating, or you may not be ovulating, then we can stimulate your body to do so. The body needs to do this. It's just the communication signals are a little bit off. It's just like a cell phone when you're driving through some hills or a mountain, it gets cut off. Same with your brain and your reproductive organs. Nothing's wrong with you. It's just the communications are a little confused. And so we have to get to the bottom of why they are. And everybody agrees, Western and alternative alike, that nutrition and lifestyle are your top two priorities in maintaining and getting right, so that you can ovulate naturally, because you can totally do this naturally. It's what your body needs to do every single month. And so hormone stimulating medication when you're not ovulating, just to hyperstimulate it, may not be the right condition or the right treatment for you if you're dealing with conditions like PCOS or other hormonal imbalances which haven't been addressed. And so you can really get really far by just, looking at your weight. Are you overweight or underweight? These two extremes can really stop ovulation naturally. You don't have to deal with any hormone condition, just if you're overweight or underweight. So weight issues. How's your stress level? I know stress is the number one anti-fertility medication. Stress does so much, and it's not really addressed in conventional medicine. If you take hormone stimulating medications and you don't address your stress levels, good luck. So where's your stress level? Where's your weight level? Are you over-exercising? Over-exercise can stop ovulation. So how much are you putting in? Are you overdoing it? And are you not nourishing enough? And so the other thing is your thyroid levels. And so most thyroid, you don't need to have a thyroid imbalance like hypothyroid or Hashimoto's to have an underactive thyroid to the point that it's suppressing your fertility. And unfortunately, most imbalances in the thyroid are usually adrenal imbalances, and those really won't show up on lab tests. So that's why we have to look at your stress level, your physical stress, your mental stress, your emotional stress. What stresses are in your environment that you really haven't addressed? Where's the truth in your stress levels? All of these things can influence your ovulation levels. And so even if you do take synthetic hormones and we're not addressing those, I don't know where the problems can lie down the road in all this. It just may be that you might not be having luck by taking the medications 3 or 4 cycles. And so you don't need synthetics to ovulate. We just need to look at your weight, your stress levels, your thyroid or adrenal imbalances, and your nutrition and your lifestyle. All of these can help you boost ovulation naturally, okay? And so the third thing when I want you to look at in why fertility drugs are not your only option is because they're really not safe and effective. And I know that maybe you've been told or you've read that they're relatively safe. But honestly, I don't think that any drug that's made in a lab is safe when it comes with a huge packet insert that says side effects that are long, like 20 plus side effects. That doesn't sound safe to me. If I saw a food with that kind of side effect warning, I wouldn't eat it. And so I know you know this. I know deep in your heart, that's why you want to do this naturally. Every woman does. And you freeze and you think about like, this is not what I want to take out. And that's why we go, and search Google and talk to people at, search Google at 3 a.m, because we're trying to find those answers that our heart and our gut is telling us, like, this isn't right. I don't want to take it. This is scaring me. I don't want that junk in my body, because they're not safe and effective. Most assisted reproductive technology in vitro doctors agree and publicly state, like Dr. Davies in New York City, he states that Clomid drugs and hyperstimulating drugs they're overprescribed. And they're overprescribed because doctors don't have anything else to give you. They don't really know about nutrition and lifestyle. They don't know about herbs. They don't know about stress management. They know about medication. They're chemists, and that's what they're good at. And so that's all they can give you when you walk through the door and you're asking for help, and that's the only help they can give you. And so when you look at the rates of success, it's 10% per cycle. Each cycle is 90 days. That's 12 weeks of your life taking fake hormones that are making you have headaches, night sweats, even hot flashes during the day. They might make you moody, grumpy, and you might gain weight. Most of my clients have gained a lot of weight and feel depressed. And the last thing you're going to want to do is have some sex to make a baby, which is ironically the point of taking the drugs, because who's going to feel sexy when they feel that crappy? And so in the end, 90% fail rate to go through all that doesn't sound very safe, effective, and happy, right? And so the catch-22 with these drugs is that the more you take them, and the more you take them, the more you increase your risk of side effects and the links to cancer and hyperovarian stimulation syndromes, which basically your ovaries and your uterus is swollen and painful and it hurts like hell. So the more you take them, the more your chances go from 10% to 23% after about 4 cycles. Now, the catch-22 is the more you take them, the closer you make those connections and those links to the deep side effects like ovarian cancer and the ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, where your ovaries get really big. You can grow tumors on them. They might not be cancerous, but you have tumors that just pop up. Who wants that in their body, especially when you're trying to have a baby, right? And so that's not a very effective drug. And so I know that the longer and just in general you can stay away from this and do this naturally, that's what you want, right? And all experts agree. Lifestyle and diet are your number one priority to stimulating ovulation, stimulating a good egg, improving egg and sperm quality for at least 90 to 120 days. Everybody can agree that you can do this naturally. You just need a really good strategy, and you really need to focus, and you really need to believe that you can do it, because you can. Your body has been wanting to do this since you've gotten your period. I know that was really inconvenient, but your body is trained to do this. We have just trained our bodies not to do it because, we've lived a life that we wanted to live up until this point. And so now we just have to make the body support us in building those eggs and building really good timing for ovulation, and decreasing stress, decreasing inflammation. And the experts agree. Everybody agrees. I've seen it in as little as 90 days, as little as 28 days. You can make massive changes just by changing your diet and improving your nutrition and absorption of vitamins and minerals. And this is not just by taking a ton of supplements. It's just by changing and overhauling your diet, your lifestyle, your stress, your mood, and all of that good stuff. And so we can all agree on that you don't need to take synthetic hormones, fertility drugs to boost your ovulation, regulate your period, or, stay safe and have a safe and supportive baby-making environment. Okay, you can do this naturally. And if you need help really understanding where you need to start for yourself, because everybody's different, You may not have any hormonal imbalance. You may have just gotten off the pill and it's been a year and you haven't gotten pregnant, and you're thinking, what the hell's wrong? You know, everything's fine. I'm not taking the pill. I should be healthier. Or you could be, you know, sitting here with stage 2 endometriosis and have never ovulated, have had horrible periods, and you're overweight. Each of you have different circumstances that need to be addressed, and no amount of synthetic Clomid or FSH or LH gonadotropin hormones are going to treat you the same. Okay? No amount will do that. And you cannot expect medication to override the imbalances that you are presenting. If you have these imbalances, if you're not getting pregnant for whatever reason, there are some issues that we need to address. And the good news is that you can address them naturally, and you can see massive change in as little as 90 days. That's a whole cycle of fertility drugs. You can do it naturally in 90 days. 12 weeks of your life to feel better, slim down, great skin, feel happier, feel transformed, have a higher sex drive, have more energy, and have fun doing it, and enjoying the new life that you're creating, not only for yourself, but for your future baby. And 90 days, it takes 90 days because the quality of your sperm and the quality of your egg are a direct reflection of your environment and your choices from the last 90 days. So if we can get on this right now, you can see massive change and massive growth without subjecting yourself to these ineffective and toxic medications that you really want to stay away from. I know you do. So if you ever need any direction, you really want to know where you need to start for yourself based off of what you're coming in with, what you're dealing with, you can go ahead and let me know that you want to move forward. So go ahead and write down below that you want more info. Just write more info, and then I will get back to you personally so that I can let you know how you can get started. Okay? Take care.